Hey guys, what's up? Darcy here at 6 Strings 9 Lives. Welcome to episode 19 of 6 with 6 Strings. First off, you're new to the channel, welcome. Welcome all the usual suspects, whoever stops by, I really appreciate it. Anyways, generally what I do with these episodes, I grab 6 random albums from my collection. You know, just maybe stuff I've been spinning, stuff that's I've seen on a video that's inspired me to take down and give a spin. Maybe I haven't, listened to this album in a long while. And like I said, generally random stuff. In the case of this episode, I grabbed more of a theme here. I grabbed 6 albums that generally, they get shit on, put it that way, or they're not well received. But in some cases, they very well could be your introduction to this band and you love these albums, or you love something about these albums, which I do. Actually, you know, for the majority of these 6, I do like a lot of it. And let me know in the comments, are these, have you heard these 6 albums? Do you know these 6 bands? Or let me know in the comments of maybe an album that wasn't well received that you love from a certain band. So like I said, and it will be a different degree of shit depending on the album and the listener, of course. But I'm going to start off with kind of one that gets picked on quite a bit from this legendary band. This is the 7th overall studio album from Judas Priest from 1981. This is Point of Entry. So this is kind of the album that got me thinking about this episode, because I'm thinking this one is surrounded by 2 just classics. You have British Steel in 1980, and then in 1982 you have Screaming for Vengeance. So my other thought was, and here's the back, we'll talk about a couple tracks in a second. My other thought about this album was, yes, they tried something, that you go from British Steel to this, and not as well received. What if it was more well received and it took off a little better than it did? How would that have impacted the next couple albums? So in the case of this, it wasn't, a bestseller. Well, it sold well, whatever, but, it wasn't held in high regard like British Steel or its predecessor, Screaming for Vengeance. So how would have this album impacted the course that Judas Priest took? Well, they looked at this one and said, you know what, boys, this didn't quite work. We got a lot of great tracks on here, but let's get back to making, a great metal album. And here we go, Scream for Vengeance. And then their career just really took off, especially in North America. Right up until Painkiller, whatever, Judas Priest, right? So anyways, that was my train of thought on that. Sorry that went on. But yeah, this album contains 2 of my all-time favorite Judas Priest tracks, which would be Desert Plains and Solar Angels. Love those songs. So, where does this one stand in your Judas Priest discography, ranking, whatever? I really do enjoy this album. Is it their best? No, but it definitely has some killer tracks. Also, check out the tracks. Well, I love On the Run, and as much as heading out to the highway is overplayed, it's still a great track. So there's the first of that one. Like I said, it gets its share of crap. Next, let's go. Well, here's a band that's actually putting out a brand new album this year in 2021. And this was, I'm talking about Exodus. They got a brand new album called Persona Non Grata coming out here, hopefully by June. There's no definite release date yet or any cover artwork. And speaking of cover artwork, this is not the best, but this one it wasn't as well received as some of their earlier work. This is 1992's Force of Habit, and honestly, one of the worst covers in my collection. Not great, but you know what? I'd still love to see a reissue of this. This is a tough CD to find nowadays, and I would love to see a reissue on vinyl. Anyways, so when we got to this album, 1992, this one it's got plenty of thrash, trust me, but it's more groove thrash mixture for sure. But this one, you know, after this album, you didn't see Exodus for what, 12 years? So, you know, things kind of fell apart after this. You know, was that part of it? I'm sure there was lots of things that were a factor as far as them kind of taking that 12-year hiatus. Anyways, there's some good tracks on here. You know, when it first came out, you know, I wasn't blown away. I'll be honest with you there. But, you know, later on in life, you pop this on, you're like, boy, that is a good track. That is, you know, that's really thrashy, heavy. You got John Tempest on drums. This is the second album he's been on. Fantastic drummer. Bass player change on this one. Mike Butler came in on this one. But anyways, you still got Zetra on vocals. You got the H-Team on guitars. But check out the few of my favorite tracks. Fuel for the Fire, absolutely love that song. There is, what else? Climb Before the Fall. There is almost an 11-minute opus on here called Architect of Pain, wicked. And this one ends up with just a classic thrasher, Feeding Time at the Zoo. There's two cover songs on here that I absolutely could do without. There is a cover of Twisted Sister, Rolling Stones' Bitch, and there's, I think it's Elvis Costello, Pump It Up. Easily could have been B-sides, but record company pressure, blah, blah, blah. That's probably most likely what happened, but what do you think of this album? Have you heard it before? Don't overlook it. It does have some great tracks. All right, on to number 3. Let's go way back. So this band, actually I was inspired. I watched this, and that's why I said Twisted Sister earlier. I watched this Twisted Sister documentary or whatever on Amazon Prime, and it was phenomenal. You know, you just don't realize what impact this band had, or the magnitude of the impact they had back in the day. They were, you know, so highly regarded, and this is even way before Stay Hungry, right? So here's a band with only 5 studio albums. I wish they would have had more output. You know, they only have 5 studio albums of, newly recorded material. I think they re-recorded Stay Hungry. I think it's called Still Hungry. I don't own that. Anyways, the one I want to talk about today is their 5th and final studio album, Love Is for Suckers. Not that well received. Didn't blow the doors off sales-wise, but, you know, it's got a couple of good tracks. So basically my question today is, where does this lie in your Twisted Sister history? And, we all know Stay Hungry. And that album, besides the 2, the massive hits, We're Not Gonna Take It and I Wanna Rock, that is a killer album. There is so many deep tracks on that album. But anyways, this one, my original cassette, great tracks like Wake Up the Sleeping Giant. I think Hot Love was the only single on that album. And actually my favorite track on here is a track called I'm So Hot For You. But yeah, I wouldn't, I wouldn't mind seeing some of these get a reissue, but little, from the start, I guess my go-tos for Twisted Sister for sure would be, the first 3, Under the Blade and You Can't Stop Rock and Roll are just phenomenal. Early songs like Shoot 'Em Down, stuff like that. I just love it. But where's your love for Love Is for Suckers? Let me know. All right, let's go. Well, we might as well stay a little bit kind of in that time period. We're going to rewind all the way to 1985. Another album I wanted to talk to. Not as well received as, it has some massive hits, but when you hold this album up and talk about this in their discography, a lot of people don't like it, but I do. I really do like it. Do I love it? Certain parts of it I do, but I'm talking about 1985, release from Motley Crue, Theater of Pain. This is my original cassette. I remember being so excited for this to come out because I only discovered Motley Crue on Shout at the Devil. That opening riff of Shout at the Devil just hooked me. And then I was really excited for their newest album to come out. And, you know, songs like, we all know those songs. The songs like Home Sweet Home, the cover of Smoking in the Boys Room. Those songs, I don't care if I ever hear those two songs, but this album has some really great tracks. Mick Mars' guitar tone on here is crunchy. The riffs are awesome. I love songs like Louder Than Hell, Save Our Souls. Love that song. Even Keep Your Eye on the Money. Keep your eye. You know, repetitive chorus, yeah, but very catchy. So you bigger Motley Crue fans, you know, of course I like Motley Crue, but you guys that are, you know, bigger fans than I am, where do you rank this one? Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Let me know. All right, let's go with, actually I'm playing an album in the background of actually, if you have not heard the new Accept, Too Mean to Die, just released here a couple weeks ago. Go out and get it. It is fantastic. It is the now the fifth studio with Mark Tornillo on vocals, kind of the reformed since 2010. And out of those 5, it is moving up the ladder fast, but yeah, go check that out. I will talk a little bit more about that album in my next update. And why we're talking about Accept, they made an album in 1989 that wasn't, it's one of those albums, there's people that absolutely disregard it. There's people that maybe came in on that album that really love it. And, you know, I really do like this album. Oh, it's too commercial, it's too that. Well, when you go from having a vocalist like Udo Dirkschneider, which I absolutely worship, I love anything, you know, Udo, Accept, the band UDO. I have all their albums, loved them for years. But when you go from Udo Dirkschneider on vocals to David Rees, yeah, there's gonna be, it might even just automatically sound commercial. But there is some, 50% of this album, Eat the Heat, is absolutely classic Accept sounding material. Tracks like XTC, D-Train, Generation Clash, Turn the Wheel, and the last track on here, Hellhammer. Speedy, fast, you know, that Wolf Hoffman signature guitar tone, the signature, excuse me, Accept backing vocals, those gang style vocals. It's here. And yes, the other 50%, I won't argue, it's definitely on the commercial side, but you know, just they tried it. It didn't work, obviously. After this, they reunited with Udo in 1993. That worked out for a little while. But yeah, definitely still check this album out. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. And what else we got? Oh, and if you actually want the album that was supposed to come out after Russian Roulette, here's your album right here. This is the first album from UDO called Animal House. This is basically, well, it was written by Accept, and the majority of the lyrics were done by Deffy, which is Wolf Hoffman's wife, Gabby. She contributed a lot to this band, and she is their, I'm pretty sure she's their everyday manager and has been for years. But this is basically the album that should have came after Russian Roulette. So if you have a craving for, you know, what was going to happen after, you know, this came out in 87, so a year after Russian Roulette, go out and check this album. Not really a part of my 6 today, but I just thought I'd show you this one, because if you're loving the Udo vocals, check out the band UDO. Fantastic stuff. Probably 16 studio albums are already around there. And also, we talked earlier about David Rees on vocals. David Reese, you would know him from Circle of Silence, Bangor Choir, a couple of bands he was in. And he's doing his own thing. And this album got released last year in 2020. This is David Reese, Cacophony of Souls. And actually he did it with a guitar player that was on the second or third UDO album, Andy Suzmiel. Fantastic guitar player. Anyways, check out some David Reese too. So he did all the vocals on Eat the Heat. So what do we got? We got one left today. And I had mentioned earlier in the video, there is a band that is another band that's coming out with an album this year. And I think the newest single's coming out in maybe April, called Skyfall. And the band I'm talking about today is Helloween. And another album that does get shit on quite a bit. And I think for the majority of the album, rightfully so in a way. It's definitely different. They tried something different. Awful cover, so I might have gave that away right away. So this is their fifth studio album from 1993 called Chameleon. Now, where does this stand in your Halloween? Is this one that you never go to? Is this one that, you know what? Some people love it. And I've seen people in comment sections of Halloween ranking videos that they really like this album. But there's some good tracks on here. I'm not a pile, but I'm going to share a couple of my favorite tracks here. The best Halloween sounding song on here is Step Out of Hell, in my opinion. Another great track is Revolution Now and Giants. But for the most part, it definitely is not my go-to Halloween album. But let me know. You know, this is the second album with Roland Grapow on guitars. We know Kai's been gone for a few years, went on to form Gamma Ray. But yeah, let me know. What's your thoughts on this? Are you looking forward to the new Halloween album? You know, we got Michael back, Kai's back. You know, technically you got now 3 vocalists, you know, 7-piece outfit. I'm definitely looking forward to that new album too. Looking forward to a new Exodus album. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Just really wanted to dig into some of these albums that do get shit on. You know, are they as bad as people say? Maybe they're better. Let me know in the comments. And until next time, stay heavy.